Alright, hey Eric, this is my week 11 report. It's a couple days late. Sorry about that. Alright, let's get right into it. Week 11 happened to be week 2 of the intensity block, so those are all the doubles at 9.5. So, heavy as possible doubles. For the most part, I ended up pretty much failing again on some of the lifts. Bench, I did 255 for 1, which is like, it was a grinder. My bench really kind of falling apart as the weight continues to drop down. My body weight percentage continues to drop. My bench kind of is following. I'm not super worried about it, just because once I pick the weight I want to stay at and bottom out, I feel like the bench will pick back up. But for now, the bench is really struggling. Don't really know what it is. But anyway, so for week 2 it was 255 for 1, and then one thing about the secondary lifts, I'm actually out of space as far as the slots. It only goes up to week 10, so if you can just add some slots for the secondary week so I can start jotting them down again, because I've been having to write them down, which is not a big deal. It's just like it's hard to keep track of some of the progression or whatever. So just to keep in mind on that. Secondary list for day 1, pretty normal. My secondary lists for this week are pretty fine. Like, I never feel like the bench overly fatigues the lifts, so everything goes okay. So day 2 was deadlift. Deadlift is like the one thing that I feel like I'm getting better at, stronger at, which is odd, but I actually hit my 1 rep max for 2 pretty clean, and that 1 rep max that I recorded before we started lifting was like a really slow grinder. I feel like I wasn't even gonna get it up, and hitting that max of 455, or previous max of 455 for a pretty clean 2, which I recorded, which it felt really quick to me. It was a huge accomplishment. Just one thing as far as the back off sets for like my lower body exercises, like for the deadlifts and the squat this week, I took a pretty bad fall playing basketball, like on my left like ass. So like kind of like messed up all my hamstring kind of in my back area. So I didn't want to push anything too far. So like that's why I only was able to hit 1 back off set. Like as far as for the deadlifts, if I was completely healthy, I think I'd be able to hit all my back off sets. Same goes for the squats. When I go to talk about that, I feel like I'd be able to hit all my back off sets for the squats as well. That being said, next week I'll just, I should be fully healed and everything, so it should be okay. Okay, so pause squats, hit that. I'm actually transitioning into the, like out of Olympic into, low bar, as far as like for the competition style. I feel like the low bar is better. I feel like I'm starting to, my technique is good enough now for it. I can handle more weight. I still want to do full range motion, Olympic type squatting. Just I feel like that should be the secondary exercise, and I should really be focusing more attention on the low bar as far as trying to like prep for any form of competition. Okay, moving on. The next day of the week is the OHPs. Oddly enough, I was able to hit 185, full range of motion, OHP, bar all the way down, all the way up. I was able to hit it twice, 185 for 2, which, doesn't make any sense correlating to my bench press, because, if you can hit 185 for 2 pretty clean, you should be able to hit more than, 255 for 1 on a bench. So maybe it's, something in my head, maybe it's certain cues, but I did upload a video of the bench, so hopefully some good feedback on that. Secondary lifts, it's really difficult to maintain any sort of progression or numbers on my bench for the secondary lifts on that day, because it depends on how fatigued I am from the OHPs. So on higher volume OHP days, higher RPE OHP days, my bench seems to suffer more. So it's tough to progress on the bench press for that day. So I pretty much, I gauge how I feel after OHPs and just kind of go from there. So that week I think I was able to hit 225 for I think a 4, and then that 4 I would never be able to hit it again, so I dropped down to like I believe 220 for a 4, and then I was still fatigued, so I dropped it down to 215 for the last 4. I'm just trying to get, hit the numbers, hit the reps, rather than just hitting like a triple, even though I'm not supposed to. So, your take on that? Progression on some of the secondary lists is definitely more difficult, just because it's hard to gauge where you're at as far as fatigue level. The last, training session of the week was the squat, and I hit 335 for 2, fairly clean. But at this point, like I said, that injury earlier in the week, it really started to fatigue my lower back, my posterior chain, my hamstrings were really affected by it too. So I wasn't feeling that great at that point. I really didn't want to hurt anything any further. So I hit the 335 pretty clean, and then I decided maybe to shoot for one back-off set. The back-off set didn't feel quite right. I mean, I hit the numbers, but I just decided to call it a day after that point. And I didn't hit the pause deadlift just because, the risk-reward, I felt like it just wasn't there for that week. So I just kind of skipped it, and I'll come back stronger next week. Sometimes with an injury, I just feel like it's better just to play it safe, just so I don't fuck, my lower back up, because I've done that before in the past, and it's not fun. Alright, so this week, I was able to go to the gym more, which is nice. I actually was able to complete my day 5 workout yesterday, so I ended up, progressing normal on that. I mean, that's just kind of like a fun week just for me, just kind of doing some arms, did a little cardio at the end. Nothing really to say about or day 5. I didn't hit the braced weighted planks just because like I said, my lower back was just fatigued, so I just hit hang leg raises. I did a couple extra sets of those. So sorry about the late submission again. I will really need to start submitting them on Saturdays. Just sometimes I work from 3:30 to midnight, and I just didn't feel like sending you a submission at like 1 a.m. I just didn't feel it was right. So sorry about that, Eric. Respond to me whenever you can. Other than that, I'd like to see maybe some thoughts on just some future, just moving forward. After we move out of this intensity block, or this RP intensity block, but what's in store. Because I've been making great progress, and stalling out a little bit, but not discouraged at all. Just got to keep on working. So, all right, thank you, and be well.